Hello and welcome back to Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. I was feeling very nostalgic and I fancied some Findus Crispy Pancakes. You remember the ones that Mum used to get out of the freezer? Yeah, them ones. Just in case you're not sure. Those. And in particular the chicken, bacon and sweetcorn. Absolutely gorgeous. I loved these growing up. Anyway, let's get on with it, shall we? So believe it or not, you need pancakes to make Findus Crispy Pancakes. So the recipe was there earlier. You can pause that and write it down. Just beat your eggs first. Get them smooth. Whack in your flour. You've got to vigorously whisk that. Get that nice and smooth before you start adding the milk. And I recommend you only put in maybe half the milk in first. That's cold milk. Get it worked in, and then it's easy to get the other half in. So just in case you have any lumps in that, what I do is I like to pass it through a sieve. There is me. There's the sieve. And a jug to pass it into. So once you've got that passed through, what I like to do is I like to pop that in the fridge for a little while. 10-20 minutes or so. Just lets it firm up a little bit. And then what I like to do, I like to make it a bit better. So there's some butter. I melt that. Try not to go maybe quite as fast as I did. It got to burn noisette, which is where it's browned. As long as it's not black, it's fine. So get that in there. That will actually add a lovely flavour to it. So you can just use a bit of tissue to clean up the pan. And then a bit of light olive oil or vegetable oil, whatever you want to use. Just grease the pan. If you look after it, you'll never actually have to wash it. And in fact, it'll be more non-stick the less you wash it. I've got a ladleful, or maybe a bit less than a ladleful of the batter. I'm sure you've done this before, but I thought I'd show you anyway. So just move the pan around to let the batter mix get to the edges. That was after about a minute or so, but I had it on a fairly low heat. You might want to get this turned up a bit. Play around with it. If you lose a couple of pancakes at the beginning, it's no big worry. This mixture made about a dozen or so. There you go. First one done. So anyway, just repeat until you've used up all the batter. If you've got a couple left over that you don't need for your Findus Crispy Pancakes, you can just chuck a bit of maple syrup on them. Lovely, they're exactly the same. And there you are, stack of crepes. So get them covered and leave them out to the side. Let's make the mixture. I'm going to use one pan to do this. I like to start with the bacon. Try to get it a little bit crispy. That took a few minutes. There we go, so that's a few minutes later. You can see the bottom of the pan's browning a little bit, but it's not burning, that's fine. That's called a fond, that's flavour. We're going to make the sauce and everything in the same pan, so don't worry about it. So the onions and the garlic can go in at this stage. Just sweat those for a minute or so. Don't actually know whether the original Findus Crispy Pancakes had garlic in, but mine do, because it's a nice flavour. It is up to you what you do. So that's a minute or so later on. So we're making the sauce, it's all together. So if you've made a bechamel before, that's effectively what we're doing. It's a bechamel, but it's also got the other bits and pieces in it. So you need the butter, melt the butter, can add the flour, get that stirred in. Turn your temperature down at this stage. So if you had it on a medium-high heat for getting the bacon browned, turn that down to medium-low or even low. Once you've got the flour in, that will catch and burn very quickly. Once you've got it incorporated smoothly, dump in all the milk, in one go. Cold milk's fine, just stir it until it's combined, and then in with the chicken stock. That's a homemade chicken stock. Feel free to use a chicken stock cube, but just be careful about the salt level. So when you're seasoning it, just take care. So now that will just need to simmer gently for a few minutes until all the flour is cooked out. And that fine chicken that I did roast, I took the legs off, got rid of the skin and the bones, diced up the flesh, and that's going in. Feel free, if you like, just buy a couple of chicken breasts, cook them, dice them up and chuck them in if you can't be bothered to faff around with all that. I prefer the leg meat, I think it's nicer. So there I am, just tasting the sauce to see whether it tastes floury. No flour taste left over, that's good. That's when you get the chicken in. If it still tastes floury, keep cooking it until it doesn't. That was tinned sweet corn. You can faff around with corn on the cob if you like, but I could not be bothered. And there is the herbs. So just allow that then to simmer away for a minute or two. Just basically let those flavours marry, and then adjust your seasoning. And when you make these pancakes, this mixture has to be cold. What I did, this was in the evening, I put the mixture in the fridge and I made them the next day. If you want to do them all in one go, just make sure you've got that chilled at least to room temperature, but preferably cold, because it will be thick then, and when you do this you'll see now it's easier to do it. What I might have done to be better is make the pancakes just before I actually roll them, because they'd had a day in the fridge or a night in the fridge and they were a bit rubbery. What you can see me doing now, I've left a gap at the top, a couple of good spoonfuls in there, fold that over, and then get the sides in, and we're going to use egg wash to help this stick. The traditional Findus Crispy Pancakes, the eagle-eyed of you out there, will say, hang on here, Uncle Matt. Weren't they semicircled? Yeah, they were. I tried doing that, and because the pancakes were all rubbery, they wouldn't cooperate with me. That's why I had to change plan and go for a Swiss roll style. Not Swiss roll, a spring roll. What am I talking about? But you get the gist. It's going to taste absolutely lush. But I think if you made the pancakes just before, they cooperate with you a bit more, and you could probably go the full semicircle. But there you go. One pancake. Let's show you another angle. This whole mixture was enough to make 10 of these. I'd like to say they lasted a few days. They lasted actually about 2 days before me and the lady, we polished them all off. They were absolutely delicious. So again, just fold over the top, plenty of egg wash. That is the glue that will make it stay together. So once you've got all of them done, however many you're making, you might want to leave them again in the fridge for 10 minutes before you start doing this stage. In between stages, good always to give them a little chance to rest. Anyway, panne, flour. I haven't bothered seasoning it. There's plenty of flavour inside. Into the beaten egg. I use a slotted spoon because then I don't get messy hands and I don't end up like with great big thick sausage looking breadcrumbed fingers. Who wants that? So the slotted spoon works a treat. Let the excess egg run off. And those are fine breadcrumbs. I bought them from the supermarket, didn't make them. But I prefer those as well to panko. Panko breadcrumbs are all expensive and fancy, but I don't think they'd be any good for this. You want nice fine crumbs. So, flour to the egg, to the breadcrumbs, to the tray. Let's do another one, speed it up a bit. Flour, dust it off the flour, you don't want any excess on there. Into the egg, get rid of the excess egg, there you go. And then, plenty of breadcrumbs. Thought it was running a bit low, chuck some more on. Brilliant. Let's cook one. You might need a bit more oil than that. I had to add more afterwards. So we're shallow frying, and when something's breadcrumbed, it will absorb a bit more oil. So just bear that in mind. Always put it in gently so you don't splash yourself. I'm going to use a bit of editing to skip through this. This whole process took about 5 or 6 minutes. I tried to get it brown all the way around, all sides. If you do make the flat ones, obviously you only do 2 sides, and you could probably cook them all the way through to hot, just in the pan, as long as you haven't got the heat on too high. This pan is on medium, a medium gas. So just one more side to do. Looking very nice. So when you're happy you've got it all browned all the way around, it will need to go in the oven. There you go, I put 10 minutes there. 180 degrees C, that's 356 Fahrenheit. I wouldn't cut them if I were you. I'm doing it here just to show you what they look like inside, but once they're cut they don't look very nice. Oh, listen to how crunchy they are. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh, just right. That sauce, that's why it's quite thick when it was cold, but when it's hot, it's just like that. Beautiful. Hope you enjoyed my trip down memory lane with me. If you fancy making them, let me know how you get on. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check me out in the next video coming really soon. Bye.